Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Sue, your Oakland special election mayoral candidate. Today, I want to talk about what was behind my inspiration for creating uh, the cruise ship program that I've been talking about. And people have been saying, well, it's never been done. Uh, and how can it possibly work? Well, actually, in fact, there was a living, working model for 1 year uh, back in 1989, right after the Loma Prieta earthquake. And uh, the story behind that, and here's what happened. Uh, right after the Loma Prieta earthquake, in the Tenderloin, there were a lot of buildings that were red tagged. And the mayor at the time was Mayor Art Agnos. And he needed to find emergency housing for over 1,500 individuals in a city where there were a lot of damage. There's a lot of red tag buildings. There's still a lot of aftershocks going on. And so he needed to find housing for over 1,500 people very quickly. And uh, at the time, the Blue Angels and Fleet Week had just wrapped up here in the Bay Area the previous weekend. And so Art Agnos asked the Department of the Navy for assistance in housing these folks and any kind of solutions that they can provide the city of San Francisco. And what the Department of the Navy did was they allowed a troop transport ship, which was being used for Fleet Week, to stay in the port of San Francisco. And because it stayed in the port of San Francisco, services could be given to those that went aboard that temporary housing solution. And that ship was troop transport was able to not only house but feed, service, shower, uh, all of the 1,551 individuals that lived aboard that emergency housing situation for up to 1 year. They didn't, not everybody stayed a year, but uh, there was, as housing became available throughout the city and declared safe, that's when the city was able to move people back into uh, like housing at the time. And so our Art Agnos was a good mayor in terms of taking care of the people in his city. He was a good steward. After Art Agnos, we've had a lot of really bad stewards of the residents of San Francisco, and that has always been a constant here in Oakland since the reign of Jerry Brown. And I bring that up because there's a lot of racism behind this. If you look at our unhoused folks, uh, 78% of our unhoused are people of color. And uh, the racism that you see being done by the city of Oakland, because the city of Oakland administration, uh, while there are a lot of faces of color in the picture, the face behind all of those faces that actually calls the shot is white. Yes, it is white, and it is very racial. And if you look at what has transpired over the decade here in the city of Oakland and housing, it is racism. It is racism because a lot of the folks that were in my homeless encampment, my sanctuary homeless encampment here in East Oakland, were from the neighborhood. They lived within a mile, 2 miles of the camp originally, and some of them even lived just down the street. I had a couple that lived just on the opposite end of 77th Avenue when her father passed away. A cousin who was had power of attorney kicked them out, and they lost their housing and everything. And so it's situations like that. And we have to create affordable housing. And how can we create affordable housing with this high cost of uh, property and real estate? Real estate is at an all-time high. And uh, let's face it, that's a majority of the cost of housing, and that's why we can't build affordable housing on property, um, on land in the city of Oakland. And so we have to look at other alternatives, such as uh, a refinement of that troop transport. And that's what I did. I refined that. And the refinement is retired, semi-retired cruise ships. And we're looking at cruise ships with a 100-year hull life. And that 100-year hull life, most of the cruise industry pre-COVID was doing extremely well. And folks were saying, well, the likelihood of you finding 6 cruise ship is none. Well, surprisingly, I found 6 cruise ships overseas, and to have them brought over here wasn't too bad. And these were ships that were early 90s to late 90s. And at the time, we were only looking at 125 to $150 million for a cruise ship that has only 1/4 of its life used. And so there's still at least 75 years left on a seaworthy hull. And we're not even making the ships go anywhere, because they will be permanently berthed in the Oakland Middle Harbor. So it's not going anywhere. And we're going to be doing a build out so that we can keep those ships in deep water. And those build outs will be support buildings. Those support buildings have services, have shops and stores available. And then also stages for impromptu concerts to attract people to the area. And also those buildings allow access to those ships at many points, so that there's a residential access, there's business access, commercial access, and then access for the general public. So these are all very safe and secure settings, because Oakland is literally out of space. In order to do what we need to do, we have to utilize spaces that are unconventional. And Oakland Middle Harbor has been a sore spot here in the city of Oakland for a lot of us since it was put in place back in the late 90s, the Oakland Middle Shoreline Park. What used to be out there was the 7th Street fishing pier. That's probably a fixture that a lot of Oaklanders remember, going out to fish near the estuary, catching fish, crab, and all sorts of stuff. Because I spent a lot of time out there in my teen days in the 70s, and I could see MSC off to the south from the pier, and then flying over us were the jets practicing touch and goes from the Naval Air Station. They flew right over us, the Corsair planes. It was really loud, but that was a very different time. And when MSC, Military Sealift Command, left the area, it removed all the vertical structure from the area that helped sustain marine life in the area. So when they left, the area literally became a dead marine zone. By reworking pilings, vertical pilings, we're not filling anything in. We're putting in pilings, much like what occurred with the baseball park across the bay. It's all sitting on concrete pilings. So these are designed to last for 100 years. And that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about any bay fill or anything in, but that vertical structure of those pilings helps to restore natural marine life and revives the marine habitat for the area. So it's a good thing. Bringing in the ships, housing, 100% affordable housing, and using my two-thirds program. That's how we get affordable housing back into Oakland. We have people in those cabins, which are home owners now, cabin owners, because they're part of an HOA. That ship, the residential portion, becomes HOA. That's how we raise the home ownership here in the city of Oakland. City of Oakland current home ownership is at an all-time low of only 38%, which is far below the national average of 52%. And so my goal is to attain at least the 52% through new home ownership by making 100% affordable housing units. And that's the cruise ship cabins, which become HOAs. Then some of you say, well, how are you going to do the zero income? Because everything has a cost. Well, yes, everything does have a cost. But then on board those ships, there are approximately 250 to 300 cabins that are not marketable. These are the type of cabins which would normally hold crew and staff. And so once staffing needs are assessed for each ship and the cabins are allotted, what should be left over is about 200 cabins. Those 200 cabins are the freebies. That's the 1/3 of the program that has no market value. And those cabins, while they don't have a market value, they do have a value in the terms of zero income shelter, because they have a room, a bed, they have a bathroom with hot, cold running water, shelter, heating, and electricity. And so the person can easily set up their own Wi-Fi, TV, and have a living space that is safe and protected. And then there are going to be a lot of resources available on that program, associated with that program, to help them create an income or to be part of what do we call that? The ambassadors for the program. They become program ambassadors, and they talk about the program. They share their experience. They provide tours of the ship and how things function. So there are a lot of ways that a person can participate, even with zero income, and have housing and be able to take care of themselves. So these are programs that are much needed in the city of Oakland, because continuing down the road that we've been on for over a decade and not seeing any results other than it getting worse, we need to do an about face and reevaluation of everything that we know that is factual. Thanks for joining me today. Think about it.